Discovery of electron by J.J. Thomson discharge tube experiment. So J.J. Thomson is a British scientist. So here you can see, so this is the discharge tube experiment setup. Okay, so it look like a bottle. So but here, so the bottle has a elongated neck. Okay, so this is not a regular discharge tube model. So it has something different. Okay, here, so we have cathode. So this is the metallic plates. One is acting as a cathode, another one is acting as an anode. So this anode metal has some hole. So this is negatively and positively electrodes. So these cathode and end of this cathode terminal and anode terminal were connected through a high voltage potential difference or high potential difference. Okay, here, so at the at the bottom of this glass tube, so he coated with the transparent material such as zinc sulfide. Okay, clear. So this is the setup of J.J. Thomson experiment. Okay, here already we know the regular discharge tube phenomena. When the cathode rays are traveled from here to here. So we know very well the cathode rays are originated from cathode and moves towards the anode side. So that's clear. Okay, here also when we are applying, so this is completely evacuated, so there is no any type of gases are not present in this discharge tube. Okay, so only these metallic plates are there. Okay, here when we are applying the high voltage, so the rays are started from cathode and travel to the anode material and hit this fluorescence material at particular point we can called, so this particular point we can so denote as A. Okay, so this is a regular discharge tube model. After that, what the J.J. Thomson he did, so he applied some amount of electric field. So this is he applied some amount of electric field. So here this is he applied some amount of electric field. So he gives the polarity. So that let us assuming that here this is a positive terminal and this is a negative terminal. So in the presence of electric field, so the cathode rays are traveled from here. So the cathode rays are traveled from here. So when enter into this anode hole and these cathode rays are deflected towards these positive terminal at point we can call it is B. So here why these cathode rays are deflected towards the positive terminal. So why the cathode rays are deflecting towards the positive terminal. So here we know very well the like charges are repels to each other and opposite charges or attracts. Opposite charges or attracts means here the positive negative repels to each other, but the positive negative are attracts to each other. So he concludes that why these cathode rays are bending towards the positive terminal, because the cathode rays are having negatively charged particle. So due to this reason, so these negatively charged particles are attracts towards the positive terminal. So the J.J. Thomson concludes that these particles, these particles are negatively charged. So these particles are negatively charged. So he concludes that these cathode particles are negatively charged particles. Whatever the particles which are comes from this cathode material of the electric field, and he introduced the magnetic field. So in the presence of magnetic field, the cathode rays are traveled from cathoding or cathode material, so it travels to the anodic material and so deflected towards the magnetic field side at point C. So the cathode material, so means when we are applying the magnetic field, so switch off the electric field. So in the presence of the magnetic field, the cathode rays are traveled from here to here and deflected zinc sulfide fluorescent material at point C. So he says that both these electric field and magnetic fields are the rays are oppositely deflected to the electric field and magnetic field. So he concludes that these whatever the charged particles are there, so these particles has some particular mass and charge, because we know very well amount of electric field we are applying and the amount of the strength of magnetic field we are applying, we know very well. So when we are applying the change in the electric field, the change in the strength of the electric field and magnetic field, the degree of deflection is also varies. So due to the reason, because here these charged particle has some amount of mass, if due to this mass when we are changing the electric field and magnetic field, so the degree of deflection is also varies. So then he determined the charge to mass ratio by changing the electric field and magnetic field strength simultaneously. After the changing these electric field and magnetic field, after he brought back both these magnetic field line and electric field line at the same line. After several experiments by tuning the magnetic field and electric field, so these line brought back into the origin of this line. So in this particular point, he calculated or he determined the charge to mass ratio of this particle, negatively charged particle, is equal to 1.7588 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kg, or 1.7588 into 10 to the power of 8 coulomb per gram. So this is the charge to mass ratio of an electron. So he did the experiment by using several metals. He changed the several metals of cathode and anode. So he get the same E by M value for all metals, that is equal to 1.7588 into 10 to the power of 11 coulomb per kg. So he concludes that every metal has these particular E by M value. So every metals are having the negatively charged particles. So these negatively charged particles are the fundamental particles in atom. Fundamental particles in atom. So according to the John Dalton concept, so atom is the ultimate particle in matter. So means atom is the end in matter. But he says that, so no. So the J.J. Thomson said that, so atom is not the end, but the atom is having a fundamental particle. So the fundamental particle is a negatively charged particle. So this negatively charged particle is called as a negatron. So this negatively charged particle he called as a negatron. So after that, so the name of the negatron is changed by J.J. Stoney as electron. So this fundamental particle, the name was given by J.J. Stoney. So the name of Stoney. So the name of this fundamental particle was given by Stoney. So is it clear?